Hi everyone.
Good
Uh,
evening, sir.
Good evening, all of you, and let's continue the session. Yesterday, uh, we have completed that inferential analysis part, and today I would like to explain you uh, two things. One was that about the central limit theorem, and one was our standard error versus standard deviation. So first we talk about the standard error versus standard deviation. Okay, what does it mean? What is the difference between both? Why the standard error is taken in consideration? So let me show one PPT. Just a moment. So let me share my screen with you. First we see the difference between standard deviation and standard error. Okay, so let me show you. We have seen these sort of graphs. Sometimes we have got here the standard error, and sometimes we see here the standard deviation. And this is a basically a mean of something, and we are providing the standard error and the standard deviation with these lines. And the weight of inference during the first year, these also represent the standard error or the standard deviation, whatever we require. So the equation for calculating the standard deviation I have explained here. That is the x minus x bar uh, square and summation of this, and divided by n minus 1, and then we find out the root. That is the standard deviation equation for calculating the standard deviation. And the standard error of mean, SEM, is the SD over root n. So equation for calculating the standard error of the mean. Basically these are the formula we use it. Now we come to the point, what is SD, what does SD measure, and what is SEM, and what does SEM measure. So what is the connection between SD and SEM and interpreting data? So we see this now. So we see the standard deviation. If we talk about the standard deviation, these are the two data sets, and we have the mean here in the green dot. And these are the some other data points. So it is a we could say that the low standard deviation we will get here. Okay, because the points are very near to the mean, and here the points are far away from the mean. So here we get the high standard deviation. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
And if we take a sample like this from a population, so this standard deviation helps us to how close our mean is with the population mean. Okay, if the standard deviation is low, and then we could say this mean is near to the population mean. But here that concept arises when we take, I explain you or something more, then you could better understand. Here I have taken one story like the Jack and Jill to run up the hill. Okay, so this data is I have given 5 times they we could say that they run up the hill. So Jake, first time Jake took 90 seconds, then 80 seconds, then 100 seconds, and then 120 and 110. And if you see the Jill, there is a distribution is different. You see both the distributions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the mean are same. If you calculate the mean of both the data, you will get the same mean.
100. 100.
Okay, so the mean is same, but their spreadness, or we could say that deviation is different. Okay, scatterness we could say that is
Correct.
different. So here for checking it, we could say we could take the standard deviation here. This is the standard deviation of this jack. You see it is the higher standard deviation we are getting, and here we are getting the lower standard deviation. You see the 98, 99, 100, 101, 102. So a small standard deviation is there. So there are these two data we have, and this is from the, we could say the here that standard error concept arises, uh, which is mean is why the standard error is required, because we are getting the two standard deviation and the mean are same. Then how we could find it out which one is from that which mean is near to that population, which one is from that population. So here the standard error of mean, what is the concept behind that, I will explain you. Suppose Jake first you see it is the data of the Jake only. Okay, 90, 80, 100, 120 and 110 and 120, these are Jack. It is the 5 trial he done, and he done repeatedly again the next day this, and then this many times. I think there are near about 12 trials I have given to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. So we calculate the we got the average of this, and then we got the average of these. Every day we got the average, and then we have find out the calculate the standard deviation of this mean. Through this we have got the standard deviation, and that standard deviation is called standard error. Okay, if you calculate the first you calculate the mean of this average, and then you get the deviation of this average from mean, and you get the standard deviation, and you will get that standard deviation would be 6.33. Got it? So this is basically a standard error of mean. Okay, it is the standard error of mean. So in this way we calculate the standard error. We take the we don't know how many samples we could take. Here the one we have taken, then the second time, the third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time we have taken only 12 times. So what does it shows you? So I will explain you later on. So here you see I have calculated this which is if I calculate for this one, the first sample we have used. So it is the, we have one formula has been developed by the statistician which is approximate to it, SD over root n. So you see the standard deviation of this is 16, if we get the standard deviation of this, and we divide it by the square root of n, so which is 5, we get the 7.16, which is near to that 6.33, which is we have got the standard error of mean. So that is near about that. So we could find through this formula that if we increase the yes, no, and here we see some normal distribution. You see in the between 1 sigma, approximate 68% of the observations lie between these, and the 95% would be between -2 and the 2 sigma, approximate 95%, not the exact 95%. And here if I talk about the standard deviation bar, plus minus 2 standard deviation. 2 standard deviation, it means the 95% lie here in between. Whatever we are getting, the mean should be lie between 60 and 132, 95 times out of 100. It should lie between 62 and 130, 68 and 132, but it is not so good measure. If I standard deviation bar, basically it is, if I make a SEM error bars, then it would be like this. So it is a perfect measure that the 95% time your mean would come in this 86, between 86 and 144. So that is the standard error of mean work in this way. And if it is smaller, then it would be better. Your mean is very near to the population mean. This standard error is as much as small, then it is very near to population mean. So it mentioned that thing. Okay, AC mention reflect that. So here I given you some example of that. Uh, 2 into ACM I am taking to standard error of mean, and that is the 15 and the 13 here, and the average you see this much. So I am getting the this standard error is 15. If I say that, so it is like this, and it is like this. If I increase few data points here, like this, I have increased the 77, 72, 48, 70. So mean does not vary too much. 68 and 56 here, you see the mean is 70 and 57. But this SEM increases too much, 15 and 13 to 9 and 10. It decreases too much. So now if I increase the sample size, this standard error of mean is decreasing. If I again change the data points, then you see the mean is approximate near about, not much change. But SEM has changed now. So you will see it is now less than previous. That was the 9 and 10, now the 7 and 6. So the effect of watching international final assessment ke liye, I have prepared some videos, then you could watch it. And here you see if you are getting this way, so what does it mean? Okay, so it is the score on assessment in percent. That is a in percent, it is basically mean percent. And here you see this mean is overlapped, both the mean are overlapped to each other. If we see, so it is the overlapping. So it does mean that the strong evidence, there is no difference between the two population. It shows that. So if it overlap, the errors are overlapped, but the mean is not overlapped. So no strong evidence that there are similarities or differences between the population. If there is no overlap of error also, so then strong evidence there is a difference between two populations. Does that make sense to everyone? Here we use the standard error to check where. Okay. Here you see we have taken the watched and the do not watch two data sets we have. I explained here in the previous slide that little bit. So this is the watched and not watched something. So this is the two, the watched this much and not watched this much person. If you see it, we get the total would be always same. Uh, it is the 9 and 7, 15, and the watched and not watched, not the total would be same. They are the different frequencies we have given always, not that same. Correct. So watched and not watched. I have taken this data here. Okay, hypothetical. So this is the watched and not watched. I have done there, and this data is from the same population or not. If you have to check it, so I have taken the different, not the same data set I am taking here. I have then changed the data, then I have changed the data. So you see here, this, if you see, these are overlapped, mean are overlapped too, both. Getting it? Are you getting it or not? I just take,
Yes, sir.
uh, if I take it. We have to do it this way. And you see the mean is overlapped. Yeah, the mean is overlapped. So it means that if I show you, just a moment, just I have to clear it, then I could transfer to that. And you see, it means the strong evidence there is no difference between two populations. It is from the same population. Got it? If we get in this way, there is no mean overlap. This is the mean. Mean is not overlapped here. So no strong evidence that there are similarities or difference between the population. There is no strong evidence we have. But if the standard error is not matching, overlapping, it means the strong evidence there is a difference between two populations. Okay. Got it? Means do not watch came from some other population and the watched participants came from some other population. It doesn't mean. Okay. So that is the way through the standard error and this bar we could uh, interpret so many things. We could diagnose so many things through this. Okay. So this was all about and about the standard error. So how to actual what is the how we calculate actually the standard error, that is this the concept behind the standard error, and we calculate through this formula. Okay, they have developed one formula by which it is very near to that what we get through this, because here we are not getting the much the random samples you have to take from the same population. So there is no count. There may be the infinite samples we could take. There may be, if the small population, there may be some permutation combination. So all we have to consider, then we could get this one, what we are getting through the formula. Okay. So they have developed one formula which we use for finding out the standard error. So I think the standard error concept clear to everyone. So there are some contradiction between n minus 1 and n. Shelly, if you see that.
Yes, sir.
There are some contradictions. Some people use the n and some use the n minus 1.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
So is it
so
something like for small population we are using that, or big population? Is it?
I have not heard about that. I have not read about it. But there is a finding out the standard error. We have again two formulae over there. Okay. Suppose if you are getting the, I just show you. I share the screen with you first. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you have find out the standard deviation through the formula that x minus x bar whole square over n. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And you are going to find out the t-test.
Okay.
Okay. T-test is what? It is the difference. If we are taking the two sample t-test,
Yes,
the
sir.
difference of the mean, and then we write down the standard error.
Yeah.
So this is standard error. If you have this sample SD, okay,
Mm.
then this standard error is measured by in this way.
Okay.
If you have find it out in this way, this SD,
Mm.
then we will have a standard error. Got it?
Yes, sir. So, but in which case we apply like two different formulas?
That's the contradiction. Some people use this one. Mostly I use this for the standard deviation.
Okay. So there is no means particular rule like we should.
There is some contradiction in,
Okay. Okay.
among statisticians, and they are not on the same. There are some regions they have given for n minus 1 and that n. So they have different reasons. If you see, uh, they have given some has given for the variance. Okay. And I will show you this. Are you getting it
Yes,
on your screen? This yn minus 1 when calculating a standard deviation.
Mm-hmm.
So here you see there is a contradiction in the point. Yn minus, we divide n minus rather than in the third step above. Here you see the step, compute the square of the difference between each value of the sample mean. This is the add those values up. Okay, sigma of x minus x bar whole square. Divide the sum by n minus. This is called the variance. Okay, variance, because we are not taking the square root, na. So take the square root to obtain the standard deviation. This process we already know. So yn minus, we divide the n minus rather than n in the third step above. In step 1, we compute the difference and the accept. So there is no clear cut anything if you read it. So you don't know the true mean of the population. All you know is the mean of your sample, except the rare cases. There are the sample mean happens to be equal to population mean. Okay, so the data will closer to the sample mean that it will be to the true population mean. Okay, that's why we are using the standard run. So the value you compute in step 2 will probably be bit smaller, can't be larger. Okay, so then what it would be if you use to true population mean step 1 to make up for this, divide n minus 1 rather of n. Okay, it is the Bessel's correction, sorry. So Bessel's correction is that if we divide by n is a greater than n minus 1. So the numerator will be small, the whole value will be smaller.
Yeah.
So that is here. So the value of the compute, the step 2 probably bit smaller, and can't be larger. So we are dividing by n minus 1. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we are taking the small sample from that. So, but why if you knew the sample mean and all but one of the values, you could calculate that last value must be, statisticians say there are n minus 1 degree of freedom. This is the degree of freedom concept. I don't prefer here in the calculation of standard deviation.
Okay, sir.
Because the degree of freedom concept is what, when you suppose you have to distribute 100 rupees in 5%.
Mm.
Okay, you have 100 rupees and you have to distribute in 5%. So the first person, you have a choice.
Yes, sir.
You could distribute 100 to him also, or you have a choice. So suppose you have distributed 70 rupees to first person, and the second person you have the choice from 30 rupees. Okay, so you give him 12 rupees, and the third person you give 3 rupees, and the fourth person you give 5 rupees. Now the fifth person, you don't have any choice, because it is an exhaustive thing. You have to spend the 100 rupees all. So here at 70 and this 15, it is 85, I think 85 and 5, 90.
90.
So you must have to 10. There is no choice for this amount you have. You have, you don't have the choice. So you have the choice only for 4 time. I know, only for 4 event. You don't have the choice for the fifth one. So we take the n minus 1 degree of freedom. So you have the freedom only for the 4 out of 5.
Okay.
For fifth, you don't have any freedom. Whatever you have to give it. Okay, you don't have any choice here. So that is called the degree of freedom. So degree of freedom is always for a single sample, it is n minus 1. So that concept they are using here. But if I talk about this, these are our data points, and we have a mean here, suppose, and this is my x1 and x2 and x3 and xn, and I get the deviation of each data point from the mean. Got it?
Yes, yes, sir.
So what is standard deviation? Standard deviation is nothing, is the average scatterness we are getting from a particular measure of center tendency. Got it?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Average scatterness from a particular measure of center tendency. In the standard deviation, that measure is mean. Okay. So how many mean we are taking here? How many deviation of square of mean we are taking? N.
And
You will get na n. So when you have to find out the mean of this, then what value you will put in the denominator? N or n minus 1?
N.
So I don't prefer this n minus 1 here in the SD.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is a contradiction always
Yeah.
with n minus 1 and n. I prefer to take n minus 1 in standard error. When I find out the standard error, then what I do? Sigma over root n minus 1. This I prefer better.
Okay.
Because I am taking here n and the SD. But in R, they use root n minus 1 here. In R, they use it. Okay, so you have to, you could not apply this. You could apply only this one. Okay.
Okay.
If you get the SD in the R, so they found out through this formula, if you calculate it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
But there are different contradictions everywhere.
Okay, sir.
So this you could search and you will not get a perfect reason, scientific answer
Yeah.
why we are taking this. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So let's we see the second thing, what I am going to tell you about that. Just I explain you what is the standard error. Okay, standard error we consider if our true mean, our mean means the sample mean is how close to the true mean. True mean is the population mean. Okay, if your ASCII is small, then your mean is very near to true mean. Got it?
Yes, sir.
That is it is for that purpose only. Okay. And I have shown you, we could check the whether they are from the, if we have the multiple data and we want to find out whether they are from the same population or not, then we could use this sort of graph, or through this we could check it. Okay. And we have some other test also, t-test, and this, they are from the same population or not. So now I tell you about the center limit theorem. Center limit theorem is what? We have a population, or from that population we are taking the samples. I have taken S1 sample, then S2 sample, and S3 sample, and the sample size should be same. Or it should be greater than equal to 30 minimum. Got it? It should be greater than equal to 30. So you have here X1 and X2 and X3, and you find out the mean of this. This is the X30, and then you find out the mean of this X. And in this way, you are getting here X2 bar and X3 bar. Got it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
This distribution may be any sort of distribution. It may be the there is not it is not compulsory. It should be Gaussian distribution. It may be from any sort of distribution. Got it? It may be like, if I symbolically represent, then I would like to write in this way: this X values, whatever the X values we have, they are not compulsory from a Gaussian distribution. I have crossed it. Okay. And in this population mean is mu, and we could say the population variance is this. So it is from any sort of distribution. It may be exponential distribution, it may be uniform distribution, it may be any sort of distribution. Got it? But if you see here, this data we get, we have got suppose 1000, as suppose not 100 we have got, and we make a histogram of this mean, histogram of this mean. This we don't know what distribution it is. It may be the Poisson distribution, it may be some other distribution. But if we get the mean of these and we get the it should be now the same, and here we get the mean this, and then we make a histogram. It would be a normal. This distribution of mean would be a normalized. Got it? So the distribution of this mean, I am writing, we could write in this way. It is always the Gaussian distribution, and the mu, or we could write that the in this way. And n is here what? N is we have the 30. So it would be in this way. So I explain you this on the R, how we could better understand the center limit theorem. Got it? It doesn't mean that if you increase, if you have exponential distribution data and you increase the sample size, it doesn't mean that it will convert in a normal distribution. It will not convert in a normal distribution. It will more approach to that particular distribution from where it is. Got it? As I explain you that, just a moment, I use the R. This I tell you about the center limit theorem. I am making an exponential distribution here using one exponential distribution which is not normal, initially. So I'm taking some set seed because I will take a sample later on. So the set seed I am taking 1 to 1. You could take the lambda, which is the mean of that Poisson distribution. We assume it. So that is 5 I have taken, and the n is the 40 samples. Okay, and the rows are 1000. I am taking it. So I will show you. Here I have taken the 100. I am taking the 1000 samples. Each sample has 40 elements, 40 data points. Got it now?
Yes, sir.
So I have the 100 rows, means 100 different samples randomly, and each sample has 40 elements. Okay, data points
Okay.
we could say. So this I am taking. Then I am taking a random Poisson distribution. Random Poisson distribution. Okay, so this I should run here. The random I am taking here. Na? So I have read it earlier. Set seed is something we select always randomly. Kasa, I have explained it earlier. I think that you was not in the R2. Sorry, R1.
Yes, sir. Not, we are not R1.
Okay, so I just little bit explain you about it. If I write 1:10, so I will get the integers 1 to 10. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
So whenever I will run it, I will get the same pattern, same sequence. Whenever I will run it, I am getting 1 to 10. Got it?
Yes, sir.
But if I write the sample here, and I run it, what I am getting? Some other sequence.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting all the numbers 1 to 10, but not in a same sequence. Next time I run it, I'm getting the same
It draw randomly.
randomly. So if I put some set seed here, if I put any set seed from 1 to 9,99,000 something, 999,999 numbers, I could put any number here. Every number has a different algorithm for selecting the number. Okay.
Yes.
So it is set seed means it is not a now the real random. It is the pseudo random now. Okay.
Okay.
So if I write the 1, 2, 3, suppose, and I run it, and then I run the sample, you see what happens? I'm getting this again. I am running this set seed and then running it. You see, we are getting the same sequence. 3, 10, 2, 8, 6 every time.
Yes, sir.
If I change this set seed, I will get the different sequence. You see. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you want every time the same sample, then you set some set seed.
Okay.
So I am using 121. So because I am taking the random Poisson distribution, random means the sample. Okay. So random sample I will get there. So I want the same sequence every time. The next time when I take the class, I want the same distribution again. Got it? Same sequence. So I'm taking the set dot seed. If I don't want the same, then I don't have any requirement to write the set seed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I am doing, SAM I am taking, and this is the object name. You could give any object name.
Okay. We can take any name.
Okay. Any. So here is the R Poisson distribution. R is the random. POI is for the Poisson. It is the syntax of the function. N dot rows. N is 5. You know, N is 40, and the rows is 1000.
40.
So how many I am getting here? 40,000. Okay.
Yes,
First
sir.
attribute is the data points. How many you require? So I require the 40,000 data points. Okay.
Okay.
And what would be the mean of that? Lambda. So lambda I have selected 5.
Yes,
I have
sir.
assigned 5. So
Yes,
lambda
sir.
I have written here. Got it?
Okay.
And I will show you this. I will show you the head of this. So you could understand it. Head means I will show you the 6 observation top. So if I run the whole 885544, in this way I am getting that. Okay. I could show you the more also. If you want to see the 20 observations, first top 20, so you could get the first top 20 observations I'm showing you. Okay.
Okay.
We have 40,000 observations now. Now I convert them in a matrix. So matrix, I am converting the same into the matrix, this data set. And rows, you know that I have written somewhere the rows. 10,000, 1,000, sorry. So 1,000 rows. The column, how would be the column? How many would be the column?
40.
40 automatically, because in the same we have 40,000 and rows we have 1,000. So we divide the total by 1,000, we get the 40 columns. Got it, everybody?
Yes.
So we run it, and I could not show you that much big matrix. Okay, here I just
Okay.
show you it
Okay.
here. This is my matrix, and this is the 1,000 rows and 40 columns. Got it? 1,000 rows and 40 columns. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
I will show you. I will view, you can view it. So this is the matrix that. Got it? The 40 you will get here columns, and you will get here rows 1,000. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So that is here. So now I will find out the mean of each row, as I explained here. This mean. Got it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I want to find out the mean of each one. Each row means the 1,000 mean I will get here. The 1,000 rows I have. So how many means I will get? 1,000 means.
1,000.
So sample dot means is equal to row means. This is a function for row means if you want. From M in this matrix. In this matrix, whatever the rows, 1,000 rows we have, so we get the 1,000 mean. So if you want to see these means, so I could show you the head of it. 1,000 mean if I print, I could print it. Don't worry, but it will take too much space. You see, this is the 1,000 mean I have got. For each row, we have one mean. This is the for first row. This is for second row. Got it? This we have 1,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Now what I will do, I will make a histogram. Got it? If I make a histogram of this, what will happen?
Yes,
Histogram of this random poison. Right? So first I make a histogram of this.
Normal.
No, it will not be a normal because it is a R poison, random poison distribution. You will see it is like that, poison distribution. Okay. But if I make a histogram of this means, you see the difference in both histograms. What is the here? Okay. So it is a normal.
Yes, sir.
So the mean you are taking, the samples you are taking, then the sample mean you are taking, that will create a normal distribution that belongs to Gaussian distribution. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Which I explained here. Na? Previously, it is not belongs to Gaussian distribution. These samples.
Yes, sir. Sample itself is not Gaussian, but its mean.
Yeah, mean will belong to Gaussian distribution.
Normal.
Okay. So that is the thing here. And I have some more thing I have explained here. The mean of sample means, the mean of this mean also I am getting. And whatever the 1,000 mean I have, I am finding out the mean of those mean also. So that mean would be, if I show you a single value, that is the 5.01. And I also find out the standard deviation. So I will show you that standard deviation would be 0.34. Okay. And I will show you that the lambda over n square root of this. So it is not much important. Just show you that is the 0.35, which is very near to that SD. We are checking it. We are checking it through the lambda. Lambda we have set here 5.
5.
And we are taking by lambda by, we are divided it by n and taking the square root of it. Okay. So
Yes,
it is
sir.
basically represent the population. Okay. Population SD. So your sample, you have taken the mean and then you have taken the SD. So it is very much near to each other. See it. Getting?
Yes, sir.
It is very near to the population of that. Got it. So that is the all about the center limit theorem. Okay. So this was two things we want to discuss yesterday. Uh, someone asked me, please you, Vijay Anand madam asked me. So Vijay madam, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So have you got it? What is the difference between SD and
Yes, sir.
standard
Yes,
letter?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And also the center limit theorem, why we use it. Okay. So the center limit doesn't mean that if you increase the sample size, it would be a normal. If you have a different distribution, it doesn't that mean. Okay. So people think that it is like that. There is a confusion. So it is not like that. If you get the so many samples from a population of any distribution, not only the Gaussian, and you find out the mean of those samples, different samples, and then you see that those mean would be in a normally distributed in the Gaussian distribution. Okay, that is a central limit theorem. Yes, research we have a small sample size. How do you use the consider CLT in that analysis? CLT is just for the understanding, Kasa. It is not for any calculation. It is just a central limit theorem. We are going to get the understanding this, that. Okay. Sally, I could not understand. You are asking we have to work on ANOVA more for processing of data. One way and two way ANOVA we have to understand.
So like in my domain, like I have to work on images from satellite data. So mostly it is like image processing. So
Mhm.
sir, for that I have to use ANOVA. So sir, I thought like so one way, two way ANOVA. So what is the difference between two? Like when we are using them, can you please tell?
One way and two way ANOVA.
Yeah.
Two way ANOVA we have both side we have that categorical variable mostly. Uh, we use that. Uh, I had some example in that PowerPoint also. Na? I just show you that. If it is there, then. This is variance. I have not given that example. One way and two way. Chi-square I have given. I will give one example.
Okay.
Just wait a minute. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Because I have not taught this for a very long time. Last 12 years I have not taught this ANOVA.
Okay.
Because I don't like the ANOVA.
Yes, sir.
That's the reason.
Even I don't
I
like.
didn't use anywhere.
Yes, sir, but we
I
have to.
use the pairwise t-test instead of
Okay.
ANOVA. So I don't have any example in my mind at present. So I just show you. Um, here is one good example. There is a very good example. I explain you. A tea company appoints 4 salesmen.
Okay, sir.
Okay. A, B, C, D. There are the 4 salesmen. I also write here. So on the PowerPoint and share that PowerPoint also with you on that whiteboard, so you could better understand. I share that screen and just explain you so you could better understand. We have to use the 2-way or the 1-way. So we have the salesman. He has 4 salesmen, A, B, C, D. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And this is the category I have explained you. The
Yeah.
4 categories, the 4 salesmen, and we have their sales. Okay, but we have the sales in a 3 season: the summer, winter, and rain, monsoon.
Okay.
Okay, or we could also use the quarter: first, second, third, fourth quarter. Here we are in example they have given the summer, winter, and monsoon. Okay.
Okay.
So they have the sales. So we have the both side. We have a categorical now.
Hmm.
The
Yes, sir.
values are inside here. The sales figure, what we are getting, it may be in the rupee or it may be in the dollar, whatever. Okay. In the quantity also it may. Okay. So we don't bother about whether it is quantity or the price. Got it? So in this way, they take it. And this sort of ANOVA, it is the 2-way ANOVA.
Okay.
Okay. So here we could check 2 things. One thing that as per the salesman or as per the seasons.
Hmm.
Okay. The salesman, what you could test it here. You could see that do the salesmen significantly differ in performance? Do the salesmen significantly differ in their performance?
Hmm.
First thing.
Yes, sir.
And the second we could see here, is there significant difference between the seasons?
Yeah.
So we approach 2 hypotheses here. Na?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the way. And the calculation is a different thing. You could see in the book the T correction factor. First we find out CF, that is the T square over N, and this way that then we have to find out so many things. And then in the R there is no need of these all things. Okay. Yeah, there you could easily directly get the value. So here we get 2 p-values, one for when we get the final analytical table of analysis of variance. There we get 2 p-values, and those p-values may be between columns. First would be between columns, and second would be between rows. Okay.
Yeah.
So between rows are this one, and between columns are this one, the first hypothesis and the second hypothesis. So suppose here you are getting some p-value and here we are getting some other p-value. So you could decide as per their values. Okay, whether it is less than 0.05 or more than 0.05, we are calculating the what confidence level. Is it clear to you now, Sally?
Yes, sir. Sir, so for framing the hypothesis will be like normal, like both the categories are there, but only one at a time will take. Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
2 hypotheses we will consider here. No?
So like if we are seeing in respect of salesman, then we'll be taking hypothesis based only on that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if we want based on seasons, then we'll be taking that.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the 2-way. In the previous case, what we have done in the R, it was the 1-way basically. We had different wine quality. You know that.
Yes, sir.
We have the different wine quality 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have to just check whether the alcohol percentage are same or not. Okay, so we didn't have their second categorical variable. Okay.
Yes.
We need to set 2 hypotheses here in 2-way ANOVA.
2-way ANOVA. It is a 2-way ANOVA. But in the R, we have performed the 1-way ANOVA. Okay, there we could perform the 2-way ANOVA also. If you search on the net, you will get the where we have to put. Or you could search on the R also, the 2-way ANOVA. Okay.
Okay.
You could see here. If you just write the ANOVA, AOV. AO class, if I write, it would better. old style classes and inheritance. So you will see the classes, the prototype here, or they have given these all things. Or you could see the ANOVA AOV also. Oh, I have to write here AOV. Beta manual variance model, formula, then projection is on. And because I have not performed that two-way ANOVA here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you search, you will get it. It's not a big, you have to just see the attributes where we have to write the first and where we have to write the
Yeah,
second
okay.
categories, and then our that values. So that you have to see only there. And I have shared this or not. I have shared, I only think this file, no? I have not shared this one. So I will share this also. And the center limit theorem also I will share with you. And that PPT also I will share with you for the center limit theorem I have used. Correct?
Okay, sir.
So and anything else? Yes. Any queries? Any doubt? Anyone?
Today is the last day, sir.
Today is the last day.
Okay. Actually, we perhaps not. I am sure that we gather lots from R1 and R2 under your excellent guidance. So, in this respect, thank you, sir.
Thanks. One thing I will tell you later about the factor analysis, because the factor analysis you have to also study about the principal component analysis.
Yes, sir.
So that is, I am not taking the completely wholly in this workshop in 10 days. In the the advanced later on,
Yes.
the next R workshop, we cover that thing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because there I have to explain so many things about the eigenvalues and everything. I have some mathematical concepts are there in the factor analysis.
Yes, sir.
So that I have to explain one by one. So that will take some time. And then you could better understand the thing with, if I explain you both the principal component analysis and the there are two types of factor analysis basic. There are three, but mainly we feel there are two, two types of factor analysis, CFA and EFA.
Yes, sir. Another is multi-level factor analysis.
That is the multi-level factor analysis. So there are basically, the main we consider only two, there are three basically. Main there are three. So then we have to explain each and everything about that also. So it's not a 1 day or 2 day session about the factor analysis. It take approximate 4 days to complete the whole thing. The
Yes,
theory is very, very important. After understanding theory, the script is not a big task. We could copy and paste the script from anywhere on the internet.
Yes, sir.
But we should know the concept, why we are doing this, why we are using this parameter, and these all things we should know about it.
Yes, sir.
You could ask me, Shelly, on the WhatsApp, and you could ask me on the mail also, whatever, whoever wants to stuck somewhere in your research work, and you could ask.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
In
anytime.
Sir, in R3, perhaps there is a detailed analysis of principal component analysis and factor analysis.
In the next workshop, we will discuss on that. The detail would be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Is the registration for R3 started? Sir?
Our next we will start later on, because the next week we are going to start the Python foundation, and R foundation we are going to start next week, and then we will start later on after that R1. Next week we will start this R4.
Sir, I do not get any registration form in R4.
No, we have not created now. The next week we will create it and we will share it in the WhatsApp group or the our Facebook page. From there you could register. Okay.
I request authority to conduct R3 in December so that some of us can join again in R3.
R3.
Yes.
This same workshop.
No, this is R2.
This is R2. Oh, sorry, R3. R3. Yes.
If you R3.
R3 we will conduct in December itself. Yes. We will not conduct it now.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Next
then,
month we will conduct that.
Then I will join, sir, surely.
Okay. In between you get some problem, whatever we have taught up to now, R1 and R2, you could ask on the WhatsApp group or mail me. Okay.
Sir, please give your mail ID, sir, in chat box.
Okay. So you could also mail on the Cypher Analytica. Don't worry.
Okay.
I see the mail over there also. Or don't worry. That is. We can do that also, Puspaji. Okay. Poverty measurement, correct. We can do it there. Shelly, you are also attending that, no? R3?
Yes, sir. So I have few queries, like I'm stuck somewhere, sir. So I wanted to look like. So can you please suggest, like, is your video available like before you might have taken classes?
No, because
Okay.
I have not published my video
Oh.
of the data science and the data analytics. I have published the video only of the statistics. As I shared yesterday, also one video link I have shared to Duncan test.
Yeah.
So there are some other videos also for the statistics. The
So for
basics of the statistics are there.
Okay.
In the Cypher Analytica, you will see lots of video, the mathematics and the statistics. So due to some norms and regulations, we are not making it public because we are running some courses. So the revenue is also compulsory for the company. So we don't make it public. We keep it private. So that is the reason.
Okay.
So the depth video we are not going to public. The light video we public it between some. And if you stuck somewhere, you could ask me.
Okay.
Yes, someone else was asking something to me.
Sir. Will there be another R2 workshop maybe in December or January?
R2?
Yes, this course itself. Will there be another one?
It is. It would be there in the December or the January.
Okay, sir.
We continue.
Thank you, sir.
So I think it's.
Well, I have registered myself in Python.
Yes.
And I want to know that whether the payment mode is same account, account number, and I want to pay, then.
So there is you will get one mail over there later on, and then you could pay it. Or I think there should be a link of payment in the that when you fill the form. Is there or it is not there?
No, not there.
Okay, so you will get one mail if you are registered there.
Yes,
and if you want to pay, you could pay over there. But that is free only for the 3 days, no? First 3 days.
Yes.
It's a 10 days workshop, basically, our Python foundation.
So there may be some Python 2, some advanced level. There will be.
Yes, yes. This is the P1 only. We have the P4 up to.
Okay.
That is the P1. P1 is for the general. It is a generic, we could say. It is the Python is a universal language. We could develop the web application also through the Python. We could program the embedded programming. We could do it there also with Python, and we could do the data analytics and the data science with the Python also. So this P1 is for the generic. So the basic knowledge of Python.
Okay, sir.
And then the P2 will start with the data science.
Okay, sir.
So this whatever we are learning in the P1 will apply in the data science also, will apply in the web application, will apply in the embedded programming. Everywhere these basic concepts applies. So this is the foundation basically.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
There is no message on my email if there is any posting recently. Okay, you could see the Facebook page, Kasa. And the Facebook page is Cypher Analytica, facebook.com. Cypher Analytica. Okay, okay. I had to search that script first. Okay. I will share that script, Nishita, in your Google Drive. Okay. In the Google Drive, I will share that script because it is somewhere misplaced in that visualization. Okay. You just run that script, you could get it. It's not a tough thing. Okay. In the ggplot2, we could edit. Anything else?
Sir, what we study in R3?
R3 will be executed in the month of December, I think. The next week we are starting the P1, Python 1 and the R1 again.
Sir.
So when the
Sir,
R1
what
will
we study
finish,
there?
what? Yes.
What we study there? What we study there?
In R3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is the course content?
R3 we cover the machine learning and the predictive analysis basically. Here we have covered the in the R1 we have covered the descriptive analysis. You know that. Okay, univariate
Yes, sir,
analysis,
yes, sir.
bivariate analysis. The R2 we have covered the inferential analysis part and the data preparation. And the R3
Yes,
we start the predictive analysis, which is where the machine learning starts also. So there is a linear regression, logistic regression, and the ridge and lasso and the elastic net regression algorithm, segmentation and clustering. This we learn in the R3. And R4 we learn about the decision tree, random forest, some other algorithm, naive Bayes, SVM, all related to machine learning we learn over there.
Yes, sir.
How do I reuse a code? Let's say I write a application, I write a program, and I want to use it again and again, or I want to share it with some users. I read about Shiny.
Shiny, yes.
Is
Yes.
Shiny the only way where you can put the snippets, codes, and host it and run it?
Shiny you could apply. Shiny is an interactive. It is just like a web development application for R. So we perform so many things on the Shiny. I have one thing with the Shiny. I just show you. We have time, so I will show you that.
Sure. Thank you.
Interactive presentation with Shiny.
And is Shiny the only way to host an application?
No, that is we could host on there also on the server side, whatever the server you hire, and there we could also do that.
Oh, what should I be studying for that? Is there an area I should dig into?
Okay. I think that you are from technical field or which field?
Yeah.
Yes. What was your graduation and the PG? Whatever.
I did BS and then MBA. I work around solutions.
Okay. So the graduation was in what stream?
PMK.
PMK. Okay. So if you want to make a future in this field in the data science basically, so then it would be better to learn Python also.
Okay.
So Python provides us
Yes, sir.
good tool to collaborate with the server and these all things.
Okay.
R is also good, but R has its some limitations. On the Azure, we could work with R because the R has been purchased by the Microsoft. There is some stake of the Microsoft in R. Azure is also from the R. So they are
Okay.
working on Azure. They are providing some assistance on the Azure. But on the other server like the AWS and this sort of, so the Python is better.
Okay.
So I will show you that just a moment.
Sure.
Let's search it. Where is it? Shiny.
A good idea to continue this R, or we should learn Python also parallelly.
Hey, first you perfect in one, then you start other, it would be better. If you are the technical field, then you could learn both. Python also you could learn in between. So you could see the difference between the both language. R is the easiest language of the world, easiest programming language. Python has a some, it will take more time to learn Python. In the Python, there are the data types. In the Python basics, we have different data types. In the NumPy libraries we use, there are some other data types. If you use the pandas, there are some other data types. So we have to understand that thing. I will run this and I will show you. You'll see it. I will open in the browser. So you will see it is now in a browser. So this is the Shiny app I used for the MTCast data. Everybody aware about the MTCast data, I think.
Yes.
So you could better understand how the Shiny app works. So you see here, I am showing the data up to the 50 also. So you will get the all 32 observations here. Okay. And all the variables you are getting here. And this is the data I have explained. I could use different color on the header and everything, but I have not used here. Now I will show you the data summary. So I have used the describe function here in the backend. You know the describe function. It gives us the summary, 12-point summary. This is the variable number 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the number of the observation. Then their mean of the mileage, mean SD of the mileage, median, trimmed, made. In this way, it is given us the all standard error, everything. And then I will show you the different interactive plots over here. So scatter plot, we know that and the x-axis and the y-axis, there should be continuous variable. So I have used here mileage, or we could use any continuous variable here out of this. If I want to HP and weight, so I will see this. Are you getting it properly?
Yeah.
And I could change the variable. The both side I have kept the same variables, and you could select the whatever you want on the x-axis, whatever you want on the y-axis. So this is the interactive one. The box plot I have created here. The box plot, you know that on the one axis we are taking the continuous, and the other axis we are taking the categorical.
Right.
So on the y-axis I have taken the continuous variable, all the continuous variables. On the x-axis I have taken the categorical variable, VS, carburetor, gear, and the cylinder. You will see this. So I could change the color also, but I have not mentioned over there. Okay. So we have so many options. The histogram I have created. Histogram we create only for the continuous data. So we are getting the histogram of any data you could create. If you change it, you will get the change.
Nice.
And here is the bar plot.
Hmm.
And these are the bar plots we could create here. We could change the color. It's many things are there. I will show you that script also. So you could better understand. It takes very much time because we have to make both the thing, the user interface and the server side. So this is the user interface UI, the tape panel, empty class, output, and these all things we have to describe. So the Sunny app itself takes 1 month to learn. It's not easy time because we have to learn everything about the what is the server, how does it, what we take on the server side, what we take on the user side. Okay, how
Can
does
you
it
share
work?
this code, sir?
Yes. Yes, it is there on the GitHub also. And if you, I tell you the link also. I
Yeah,
will
and
give.
any book that or any link that explains Shiny better. I want to make something exactly like what you have done. I want to give
Yes, sir.
user, I have fixed data set,
Yes.
but I want the relationships can change. I want the
Mhm.
user to play with that and see for themselves.
One machine learning model we have also developed with the Shiny. I see where it is here or not in my this system. Okay, that I just see that it should be there somewhere. I just see where it is. I just try to open it. Just see why it is not working. It is running but not. I think a few libraries I have to see it is installed or not. Hmm. You see, I will show you the fraud detection.
All this UI is in R.
Yes, yes. So it is the fraud detection of the credit card. You know that.
Right.
So it is the paying status for the. It is not a fraud detection, but is basically it is a defaulter. Fraud is a different thing in my definition. The someone is doing, someone else is doing with your credit card. That is the fraud.
Right.
And, you are a defaulter if you are not paying on time. I know. So it is the 1 month delay, and the whatever you select here. Next, you write whatever the amount you write. Sorry, because I'm writing. I don't know whether it will work or not because of some items. I'm third key is my very bad. Cannot open the connection because these figures. Because it very compulsory to put a right figure, which is because the some figure the demographic information, graduate, others, limit, we could write 1 lakh, age, next, because okay, now next, it's not working. I will see what's the somewhere in the code I have done some problem. You see this, this is not showing the thing properly. Okay, I think I have to, there may be some problem in some libraries or somewhere. So I have to see what's
Yeah.
the problem in the server
So
side.
that's not a problem, but if the inputs are right, it works.
It will work. It will work. If the
Hmm.
input is right, then it will work. So this we use for the our machine learning algorithm. You put this and it will tell you whether it is defaulter or not. There are so many norms why they decide whether it is defaulter or not. So the script is too much heavy when you write the this sort of things. That's like a web developer work like that. So in the signing, but on the server side is very easy. You have to give your model in some particular format. Okay, there are various format like a .pkl and in the RDS model. That format you have to change your model, whatever the model you have created, and you just give your data preparation script and that model to the uh, web developer or whatever, or he adjusts it. So that is better. We don't have to learn so many things.
Okay.
So I also did very small work on the Signy, but it takes very long time. And when we work on the Signy, we feel ourselves as a web developer.
Because of the UI design.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is better to just make a model and give in a particular format to the forward it and give the that our data pre-processing, whatever the syntax you have written, they will use it. Somewhere they will convert the syntax also. They use SQL syntax over there because regarding the query whenever they make. So they utilize it as per their requirement.
Thank you.
So that is, I feel better. So day after tomorrow is Diwali, and I think today and tomorrow is a Dhanteras. So happy Diwali, happy Dhanteras, happy Diwali, happy Kali Chaudas to all of you, and enjoy
Happy Diwali, sir.
the festival. Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali, sir.
Happy Diwali, everyone.
Happy Diwali, sir.
Happy Diwali, Govindji. Happy Diwali, everybody. Okay.
Okay.
And meet on the next workshop whenever it will start, and we will like that page, and you will get the information from the other Facebook page, or you could also mail the whatever the clients have attended the previous session. For the next, we always mail them. Okay. Happy Diwali, everyone.
Okay, sir.
Happy Diwali, sir.
Happy
Thank you.
Diwali.
Happy Diwali, sir.
Diwali.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.